I've got a 5 o'clock, so I'm going to call tonight's meeting of the Utility Service Board to order. And first item we have is the approval of the minutes from our previous meeting on December 6th. Are there any questions or comments from the board about the minutes? Okay, then is there a motion to approve the minutes from the previous meeting?
So moved.
Second.
All right, and Latrina, can you please call the roll?
Kepler,
Yes?
Parmenter,
Yes.
Eman,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Roberts.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next item is approval of the claims. We have standard invoices in the amount of $772,170.06. Are there any questions or comments on the standard invoices? All right, seeing none, is there a motion to approve standard invoices?
So moved.
Second.
And Latrina, please call the roll.
Parmenter,
Yes.
Eman,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Kepler,
Yes?
Sherman.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, invoices are approved. Next are utility bills in the amount of $201,661. Are there any questions on utility bills? All right, seeing none, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
All right, and Latrina, can you please call the roll?
Roberts,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Kepler,
Yes?
Parmenter,
Yes.
Eman.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next, we have wire transfers in the amount of $480,951.58. Any questions or comments on wire transfers? All right, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Second.
And Latrina?
White,
Yes.
Eman,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Parmenter,
Yes.
Kepler.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. Next is customer refunds in the amount of $88.66. Are there any questions on refunds? Seeing none, is there a motion to approve refunds?
So moved.
Second.
And Latrina?
Sherman,
Yes.
White,
Yes.
Parmenter,
Yes.
Eman,
Yes.
Roberts,
Yes.
Kepler.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, thank you. The next item would be approval of the consent agenda, except we do not have a consent agenda for this meeting, correct, Vic? All right.
That is correct.
So next item is a request for an approval of a memorandum of understanding with Aspen Heights Partnership. And Vic, can you tell us a little bit about that?
I can tell you some, but Chris Wheeler can tell you more. So I'm going to ask Chris to present.
Okay. Okay, thank you.
City Legal. This MOU is a request to, well, actually what we're doing is requesting that you approve the MOU, which is to have the Utilities Board release 2 permanent utility easements in exchange for acquiring a permanent utility easement. It's a 2-for-1 sale, but we end up getting exactly what we need, and the owner of the property gets exactly what they need. There are 2 private there's 2 private utility lines on this particular property, which is 703 Gorley Pike, which is Colonial Crest Apartments. It is undergoing a transition in ownership, the closing of which I think is tomorrow. So this turned out to be a very good time to have this meeting. But there are two private utility lines on the property, a wastewater line and a water line. They were, I think it was intended back when they were installed to be turned over to CBU because they were placed into easements that were then recorded that granted that land to CBU as easements, as utility easements. The two lines, though, were never taken over by CBU, and that's probably because they were not built to spec and CBU wouldn't take them into their inventory. So we don't own them, we don't maintain them, we don't have anything to do with them, but we still have these old easements that are recorded. So it's of no support to us if we have them released, and I recommend that we do release them because we do have a 24-inch water main that runs at the south end of this property that is ours, that we do maintain, and it is not in an easement. I don't know how all of this happened. It was long before I came along, but this is the state of the affairs that we have with this property. And I'm recommending that we release those two easements in exchange for the owner granting us a 50-foot wide permanent water easement for the water main. So that's what the MOU outlines. It explains how we'll accomplish this. We will sign the releases today. We'll hold them until the closing is successful and the property changes hands. And when they then grant the permit for our 24-inch water main, we will then record everything and everything will work out. So I recommend we approve the MOU. I recommend that we sign the releases so that the closing will go without a hitch tomorrow. And if there are any questions, I'm happy to try and answer them.
All right. Are there any questions from the board? I am not seeing any questions. So with that, is there a motion to approve this MOU?
So moved.
Second.
And Latrina, please call the roll.
White,
Yes.
Parmenter,
Yes.
Kepler,
Yes.
Beeman,
Yes.
Sherman,
yes,
Roberts.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Motion is approved. Thank you very much, Chris. Okay, before we move on, I just want to let the public know that if you would like to make public comment at our meeting, you can do that by putting that in the comments section of our Facebook live stream or in the Zoom chat, and Nolan will read that out at the appropriate time at the end of the agenda. So want to check, is there any old business from the board? All right, any old business from staff?
None.
Any new business from the board?
I do want at some point to say a few things before my very last meeting is over. So whenever you guys want to give me that time.
I think that would be fine to do right now.
Great. Okay. I just want to say something after 15 years of being with this terrific group of people. I want to kind of sum up what I've learned and hope not to bore you for too long. But first of all, I want to say it's been a pleasure to serve on this board. It has been functional and bipartisan and professional and fun. And I have learned so much. My 3 careers so far have been in advertising, public school teaching, and running art galleries. And I am fascinated by the science of water, fascinated by the hydrology, by the way we clean the water, by the way we move the water. I'm not an engineer, but I think it is so interesting. So it's just been a lot of fun, very educational. And I'm only stepping down because I think that I'm starting to get a little stale. First of all, I've been doing it for 15 years. I want to give someone else a chance. I am hoping to move into my 4th field, which is permaculture, which is going to involve soil management, plant communities, and water management. And so I'm hoping to get into green infrastructure professionally, and that would put me in conflict with the board. The 3rd reason is I feel that representation is extremely important. This board has been in existence since April of 1973, when Jeff Eman and I were both in the 3rd grade. We were in the 4th grade together at Rogers Elementary, and now we've been on this board together. We're the 2 longest standing members at the moment. And in that time, the number of women and persons of color, I think, is numbered maybe 10. So it would have to be a board of entirely women and or persons of color until 2070 to simply break even in terms of influence. So I have tried to recruit someone who fits the bill of being different, and hopefully that person will get confirmed by the mayor. And I would like to suggest to my friends on the board that when it's your turn to step down, to look for someone that doesn't look like you. You know, even if you're a woman or a person of color, look for someone who's younger or older or speaks a different language as their first language or is in a different income bracket, so that more people can have this great experience and become more aware of how our city works. The miracle of water never ceases to amaze me. We take it for granted even more than electricity. You know, everybody's so ticked off when their lights go out and their phone doesn't work and they don't have hot water, but they can still flush their toilet and they can still get a drink of water as long as they're part of the CBU system. For a penny and a quarter a gallon, it's instantaneous, it's reliable, it's amazing. And I think that our mission is multifaceted. You know, number one is we have to take care of our employees. And I really want to commend Vic for his emphasis on safety and training. The work a lot of them do is dangerous and difficult and really vital. And so I hope that we continue to put a lot of money and resources and consideration into our employees being the best trained and best safety equipped as possible. The other thing I would ask the board to commit themselves to is to protect the consumer by continuing to have gradual and consistent rate increases. We went for around 10 years with no rate increase at all. And it was a terrible shock to our consumers. It's as if nothing went up at the grocery store, nothing went up in your rent or your mortgage payment for 10 years. And then suddenly people got whomped. So having at least one of our three areas, we have sewer rates, waste, stormwater rates, and water rates. Every single one of those should be in progress. Something has to be before the Indiana Utility Regulatory Commission at all times. Small, consistent, constant rates to keep up with inflation and to keep the utility well flushed, so that, no pun intended, so that we can pay our expenses and keep our infrastructure where it should be. Those of you who do not know, this board is really important for reasons that you might not have ever heard of. In 2000 or 2001, I forget, there was a push. It was all across the country, a push to privatize the water. And what happened is these companies swooped in, they tried to make contracts with local utilities, they ran their materials and their equipment and their people into the ground, and then they left. They did it in Terre Haute, they did it in Indianapolis. There was an attempt to do that in Bloomington, and a group of concerned citizens lobbied really hard to have that not happen. And the board changed their mind. They listened, they heard the people who were there, and we still have control over our water. We have not had our stuff run into the ground so that someone else can make a profit and then leave town. So I think that's extremely important. If the other things I would say on my way out the door are, please share leadership. It is not that hard to be the president. If you're a little nervous, then be vice president for a year or two. The only real hardship if you're president is that you really ought to go out for lunch with Vic a couple of times a year, you know, so to keep up with what's going on. Go to some meetings with the rest of the staff. I love doing that. And then COVID hit, you know, there's all kinds of interesting things. Vic's having meetings at the plant with the people in charge, the operators, and it's just really cool. Go for another tour if you haven't had one yet on some of the new equipment, that kind of thing. Let's see. Yes, so it's just, I want to make sure that I don't overstay my welcome. I've had a really good time. I'm going to miss you guys a lot. And when we start having meetings in person, I might just come be a groupie now and then. So thank you. It's been really fun. And oh, yes, one more thing. We're the best recruiters there are. So when you're looking for someone else to fill your seat when you leave, let them know how important this is. Tell them how great this utility is. And it's a wonderful experience. Anyone who wants to go further in politics or just wants to be involved or cares about their community and their environment, this is a really good place to be. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Julie. And I'm just going to respond and say that it has been a true pleasure to work with you on this board. You were one of my mentors when I joined the board, and I've learned a lot from you. I got to, watch you chairing meetings, and you always have great input on issues that we're debating and thinking about. And so I really valued serving on this board with you. I think I can speak for the whole board in saying we're going to miss you. And you show up whenever you want to be a groupie. You're always welcome at the meetings. So thank you again. Any other board members want to chime in at all? Okay. So thank you again. And so at this point, I guess I will ask Vic, is there any new business from staff?
None.
Okay. And we don't have any subcommittee reports, is my understanding. So staff reports, Vic, anything?
I have a few things. The first is new personnel. We have 2 new hires. David Jones is a temporary part-time fire hydrant maintenance crew person. And Brian Eads also is joining the utility in that role. We have a transfer. This is Heather Perry. Heather has been working as a water quality intern at the Monroe plant, and then apparently she liked it so well, she's now an operator there. So welcome, Heather. We have a new certification. Daniel Frank from Control is now a certified remote pilot through the FAA to run drones. That's a Part 107 certification. And Debbie Miller from the Dillman plant has retired. So that's quite a bit of change this month. I did want to say a word or two about the COVID vaccine policy the city's been implementing. CBU is participating fully in all of those changes, and I just want to make sure that the board knows that we're paying close attention to that. And Julie, I need to say a few words on behalf of all the staff. We've loved working with you. You've been a constant supporter. You've asked good questions. You've challenged us in a lot of different ways with a lot of the things that you've suggested. And it's been a real joy to work with you for the last 5.5 years. And I know I'll miss you, and I know the rest of the staff will miss you as well. You've always brought a lot of seriousness and joy to these meetings, and it means a lot to me. So it means a lot to all of us. So thank you for your service on the board. And then the last thing I have to say, this is the last meeting of the year. So I just wanted to sum up our thanks from the staff to all the members of the board for your commitment to what CBU does and to the betterment of our community, making sure that everybody has safe drinking water and reliable sewers and good stormwater infrastructure, and all of us working together. That's all of us employees plus all of you. We're all on the same team here, and we've done some big stuff in the last 12 months. We're making big progress on some very important long-standing problems, like the tunnel for the former Jordan River. That project is finally beyond 3rd Street, but that's moving along now. We've got all of the modernization work that's been going on at Dillman. When that project gets a little farther along, I'm going to want to take as many of you as want to come to see the new stuff, because it's pretty cool. But we've done quite a lot of things there at Dillman. We have construction projects going on at all 3 plants, and all 3 of them are related to important water quality improvements and or sustainability improvements. So there's just a lot going on, and holding all of this together, the Utility Service Board has been really important to our work with everything we've been doing. And we really appreciate your service and your help with everything we do. So happy holidays. We'll see you next year.
All right. Thank you, Vic. Wow. Okay. So that brings us to petitions and communications. And Nolan, are there any comments on Facebook or in the chat on Zoom?
There are no comments.
Okay, thank you. Well, with that, is there a motion to adjourn our meeting?
So moved.
Thank you, Julie. We are adjourned.